Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of The Fishing Teacher, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to hang out with me a little bit, because I know everybody's busy and lots of YouTube channels to watch out there, so thanks for checking out The Fishing Teacher here. Really appreciate that. Guys, today I want to talk about how to set the hook on a plastic worm correctly. I think when I see people fishing a plastic worm and setting the hook on a plastic worm, I see a ton of mistakes that they make, and I want to give you guys some good tips and advice on how to correctly set the hook with a plastic worm. And this also goes over, it can be a Texas rig plastic worm, it can be a weightless Senko that's Texas rig, it can be a Texas rig creature bait, anything Texas rig. I'm going to give you guys some good tips on increasing the number of bass you get in the boat and getting more bites with it too. So we'll get into that today. Also guys, a couple of quick housekeeping tips to go over before we get started. Appreciate you guys taking time to listen to them. You may have seen yesterday, I posted a video that my 8-year-old son Elijah started a little YouTube channel that he likes to build stuff around the house, like little projects out of scrap wood and stuff. So we created a kids channel for him here. And if you guys would like to help get that channel off the ground for him, he'd really appreciate that. So I'll link it in the description. It's called Building with Elijah. If you'd like to hit that subscribe button, that'd really make his day. So appreciate that. And also guys, 2 baits I want to share with you guys real quick before we get started that I've been catching a lot of fish lately. Obviously guys, my Blaukat New Power Finesse Throwback jig, living rubber frog hair skirt on it. A finesse jig is deadly in the late fall, early winter time, November and December. I'll link that in the description. And finally guys, a big swim bait, like a big Megabass 8-inch mag draft is an excellent bait in the month of November. Take the 8-inch mag draft guys and fish it parallel to bluff banks. Catch some good fish, especially on those cloudy, windy days. So I'll link that in my video, in my Tackle Warehouse link also, if you guys like to try one of the 8-inch mag drafts there. Okay, guys, plastic worm setting the hook on it. A lot of mistakes that people make. So I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to sort of try to get the camera set up here where I can give you a little demo here. The biggest mistakes that people make with it. Okay, now let's go through the whole thing as far as from bite to setting the hook on it. Let's say you're casting your worm out there. You're working your worm along the bottom and you get a bite. Probably the biggest mistake that people make is as soon as they get a bite on a plastic worm, it's like there's one, it's like you've got to get into this big rush to set the hook, and they reel down like that and boom, they just set the hook like that as hard as they can. A lot of times they set it on a slack line, which you never want to set the hook on a slack line, because here's the problem. If you get a bite on a plastic worm and you bow to it, and you create that slack, and a lot of times you'll go like that, set the hook on it. When you create that slack and you whip it like that, it tends to jerk that bait super, super hard to the fish's mouth. And a lot of times, if that fish has inhaled the plastic worm, like completely in its mouth, comes up and grabs the whole worm, especially the head of the worm in its mouth. If you set the hook super hard like that on a slack line, a lot of times you'll be so much force with it that you'll pop the fish's mouth open, and the fish does not even have the hook anywhere near it. You'll pop that fish's mouth open and that bait will just come straight out of the fish's mouth. So you don't ever want to set the hook on a slack line. You don't ever want to set the hook with a ton of force. And I'm going to explain to you why that is here in a second. Here is how to correctly set the hook on a plastic worm or any type of Texas rig bait. If you have a weight on it or not, doesn't really matter. Make your cast out there, working that bait along like that, all of a sudden you get a bite. Now, when you get a bite, you got plenty of time, not in any big hurry, because a decent fish, if a fish is over 2 pounds, they'll swim 50, 100 foot away and never drop the bait. A lot of times they'll swallow the hook before they drop it. Fish, if they're a decent fish, they're not going to drop the bait. So you don't have to get in a big hurry. You got the bite, give them a second, watch your line move out for 2 or 3 feet, give them a chance to get that bait in their mouth, because a lot of times they'll come up and grab it by the tail like that, and then as they move with it, they bite it farther up on the head. So a lot of times they start out on the tail and they work their way up as they're moving with it. And usually if you let them run for 3 or 4 feet with it, they pretty much got it in their mouth. So throw it out there. You got fish moving out with it. You've let them run 3 or 4 feet. Now, after you've let them run 3 or 4 feet with it, you need to reel until the line gets tight on the worm. You don't want any slack. So when the line is tight, and keep your body in good position, you want that rod tip in about that 9 or 10 o'clock position like I got right now. Just lean back and reel fast at the same time like that. So you're not setting the hook like that. It's like, there he is, I got my rod tip 9 or 10, and I'm gonna start reeling real fast like that. I'm gonna keep reeling. This is what's gonna penetrate the hook for you. It's like when you get that strike and you start reeling and you pull back on the rod, you're not jerking back, you're just pulling back like as you're reeling. As that fish is coming to you, and they will come to you usually right off the bat, you're constantly forcing the point of that hook into the fish, and you're not popping that mouth open. And what you want to do is you want to keep reeling as long as that fish is moving towards you. Say, for example, you're reeling and that fish is coming to you towards the boat like that. Then maybe it's a big fish, like a 6 or 7 pounder, and it goes behind the boat, and all of a sudden it's going the opposite direction. Don't try to reverse course on it, because you're going to reverse that hook and pop that hook out. What you want to do is, if you're reeling fast like that and the fish starts moving in an opposite direction, push your thumb bar and let the fish take the line out until the fish stops moving. Once the fish stops moving, start reeling again. And in other words, what you want, guys, is you always want the fish moving in your direction, because you have control of that fish and you also have the better hook position. Don't ever try to change course on the fish. The only time that you should ever try to change course on the fish is if you don't have any other option. The fish is running into a piece of heavy cover, like it's running underneath a boat dock or something. At that point, you might want to try to turn that fish a little bit. But as long as that fish isn't running into something, just let it run until it slows down and then start reeling again. Now, here is how I learned about this. There is, most people have heard of Yamamoto, the Yamamoto Senko, invented by Gary Yamamoto. Gary Yamamoto, he was a tournament fisherman forever, and he was very successful as a tournament angler. He won the US Open. He competed successfully on a lot of the tournaments I fished against, the FLW Tour. And if you've ever watched Gary Yamamoto fish, it's like, and that's all he does is fish soft plastics, Texas rigs. So Yamamoto, he'll be sitting in his boat like this, and he'll be working his bait like that, and he'll get a strike, and then all of a sudden, you just see him just doing like this. He's got one on, but this is how he does it. It's like, okay, there's a strike, and he never loses them, ever. It's like the guy gets every fish that bites in the boat. And I can't tell you how many jacked up dudes on testosterone that, sit down like that, boom, boom, set the hook like that. They're the ones that lose the fish all the time. So in other words, guys, do not set the hook hard. Just start reeling fast. Keep the pressure on the fish. Let the fish have the bait a little bit more, and you're going to land a lot more fish on a worm. So give it a try. I know it'll help out, and talk to you guys later.